What is up, Podheads? Welcome back to episode 20. It's your boy DJ Easy Zeke, and I got a very, very special guest for y'all today. This is my boy Gabriel, and he's probably the first guest I've ever had getting his nails done during an interview. So this is different for sure. But how you doing today, Gabriel? Appreciate you coming on the show, bro.
Pretty good. A little bit tired. How about you?
Hey man, I'm chilling. I'm happy that we got to sit down and do this. I remember our first interaction was when we were shooting the Franco video back in November.
Yeah.
I think you were just moving to Charlotte, if I'm not mistaken, around that time.
Yeah, I was moving to Uptown at that point, but like everything kind of got messed up, you know what I'm saying?
I gotcha. So where are you originally from?
I'm originally from South Florida.
What part?
Margate.
Okay.
Margate, Florida.
And what were some of the things that you did in Margate when you were growing up? Like, what were your interests when you were in elementary school, high school? Were you playing sports? Were you doing any sort of like modeling, theatrical stuff? Or what was kind of some things you did when you were growing up in that area?
Actually, I did a lot of sports. I was wrestling in middle school. I played basketball and football in high school. I ended up having an accident, with my knee, tore my meniscus, and I wasn't able to play sports anymore. So right after that, I went straight into kind of modeling in a sense. I wanted to be a model. I didn't know how to get started, so I just started posting pictures on Instagram, and they started doing numbers. So tried taking it seriously, and then TikTok came out, and my direction kind of shifted into more of a content creator, influencer type of wave. And from there, it just kind of started taking off.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you were a multi-athlete for multiple sports. That's kind of crazy. Tore your meniscus. So what year did you end up doing that? I know you said you were doing these sports in middle school and stuff, but did you get injured a little bit later into high school?
Yeah. So I was wrestling and playing basketball a little bit in middle school, and then I really was playing football and basketball in high school. And I think it was my 10th, 11th grade year. That's when I really got into the accident, and it was a sports-related accident, so I mean, at least I did it doing something I loved. But
yeah, for sure.
I was never the same after that. I was really babying my knee the whole time, every workout, everything.
You got to take them injuries seriously, bro, because if you try to come back too quick, then you're only going to injure yourself further. But everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, it wasn't even just that. It was I'm literally incapacitated. I couldn't walk or anything for six months. I had a whole knee brace on, then I had to have surgery and all that stuff. So it kind of, I was working out more upper then, but even now, I kind of baby my knee when it comes to working out and stuff.
I gotcha. And I know you were saying that you had always wanted to kind of get into modeling, but sports was kind of your first love. But outside of modeling and sports, what were some of the interests that you had when you were growing up? Did you and your friends go out and do anything, on the weekends, during the week? Were y'all getting into any shenanigans, or were y'all just kind of chilling?
We used to hit this place called the Swap Shop.
Okay.
And it was all fake clothing, fake designer bags, but it's just a flea market in a sense out there near Margate. We used to just hit that and just get a whole bunch of snapback hats and then go out to the beach and have a good time. We played basketball here and there, just outside, listen to music, just kind of normal kid stuff.
Yeah,
that was definitely a main point, was that Swap Shop. That
was a sort of a social status, but in Margate. Or no, you said it was fake clothing.
Yeah, it was all flea market shit.
Okay.
It was cool though, because back then it was we're always getting new stuff. They'll have nice watches for $2.
Yeah.
And we were we all thought we were something, just walking around with fake chains and these makeshift snapbacks and stuff. But I mean, it was definitely it was a time for that. Nobody really judged little kids doing that.
So what kind of sparked your interest in modeling? Was that something that you were interested the whole time you were playing sports? Did you have anybody that you were kind of looking up to in the sports world that was, dressing a certain way, or maybe a model that you had came across on, social media or on television or anything that kind of sparked your interest in the modeling and fashion?
Well, I mean, when I was living out in Florida, I had and I was playing sports, and obviously growing up, I wasn't in the best of shape. Everybody had that baby fat, but mine stayed on there for a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, it stayed on there into middle school. And then when I really started doing social media, or not social media, but playing sports and stuff, I started losing all that weight, and I started looking good and gaining confidence in myself. And I was well, if I can't do sports, at least let me do something with everything I worked for. And someone was you look like one of those social media model boys. And I was I started looking it up. Back then, that was when this show called Chasing Cameron came out on Netflix.
Okay.
And I watched it, and I was damn, they're really living. They're going to Paris, they're traveling, you know, like all across the country, everywhere, bro.
And this show had models in it that were traveling, or
It was like models, but they were like, it was like Viners at that time.
Okay.
Like
All right,
Vine
I
people
gotcha.
and just like social media boys that blew up, and now they're on tour and they're like meeting all their fans and like just shooting content, traveling the world, just having a good time with a whole bunch of friends. And I was like, damn, like that's something like I really want to do. You know, it
Yeah.
seems fun. It kind of just like lets me experience something, so I worked towards it. And I started like kind of like taking inspiration from people like Cameron Dallas and Aaron Carpenter and like a
Yeah.
whole bunch of like those MagCon people. So that's where it really came to me, and I was like, oh, this is lit, you know,
Yeah.
because I now I'm getting a fan base. And even at the start, like it wasn't as big at the start. But like when I first hit my first 10K, I was like ecstatic. And then I started looking more into fashion and watching like fashion brands and seeing what people are wearing, like Dolce and Gabbana and stuff like that. And like, okay, so put these pieces together, and now not only are you looking good, but you're feeling good too. You know?
sure.
And everybody's gonna notice it, take pictures, everything.
So it sounds like from an early age, social media kind of had a pretty big impact on your interest, but not only your interest, but how you wanted to go about those interests as far as like posting. And
Yeah.
you know, you saw people that were traveling and stuff or doing stuff that you were interested in. What year did you graduate high school?
2020.
Okay, so about 4 years ago. All right, so my generation, Vine was the TikTok. I graduated 2015, so I'm a little bit older than you, but Vine was what TikTok is now. Although I guess TikTok's about to be gone. RIP.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, I guess
We'll
we'll
see.
see. But yeah, speak about the impact of social media and how much that kind of affected, you know, your generation and just the internet as a whole. Because a couple of the artists that I interviewed recently, they're just, you know, they spoke on how much the internet kind of meant to them being able to do what they love and pursue their passion.
Well, the impact it really had on me, like, even from the start, you know, I was getting seen differently. I was feeling noticed, you know, all that. But then as I progressed, now it's like opening up opportunities for me. Like, I got to like 30K before TikTok came out on Instagram. And then when TikTok came out, I hopped on that and I just blew up instantly. I don't know like where it came from. I was just posting like cringe ass videos, man. like low key like musically type stuff. And it was bad. But it blew up, and then I started getting reached out to like by social media shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I started going to shows and then going on tour. And now I'm doing what I just watched, you know, years before, what I dreamed that I wanted to do, and I'm now doing it. And that's when I was like, okay, like this made a huge impact. Not only that, but like I get to work with a lot of brands that I want to work with. I get to, you know, do a lot more stuff that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to do just because of an app, you know?
Yeah,
just
for
because
sure.
I'm getting likes and views and people commenting on my stuff. Now it's like a whole different world.
For sure.
Sense. Yeah.
So you just spoke on you got involved with some shows. What kind of shows were these? Were these like live performance shows, or were these recordings and they were streamed somewhere?
So these shows are like, they're like live, and they're called like social media Boys of Summer tour and like Winter Lights events and Social Bash and Juice Crate tours. Basically, they have a whole bunch of social media people that we all watch, you know, and they all come together. If you go on the tour, now you're on the bus and you're traveling everywhere, but they all come together at certain stops in certain cities, and then they have all the people that watch them come out and meet them.
For sure.
And then if you have an artist, you know, sometimes they have artists that blow up on social media, like TikTokers and stuff, but they make music.
Mm-hmm.
They can perform, and then we do like meet and greets, so all the fans come up in a line and we meet them for like a few minutes, and then you know, just everybody goes down the line.
How far into like high school was this, or was this post high school?
This is like right, I want to say senior, like starting senior year.
So what was that like reaction from your peers when they kind of see you starting to kind of blow up and become this kind of public figure or influencer, if you will?
I definitely switched to online school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was you know, you have those good, you know, the people that like it, and you know they want to be your friend or whatever and like show the fake love, and then you got people that envy you, like
For sure.
really jealous, and because you know now people are talking about you at school. And when I switched, because I did come to South Carolina for school for a while. You
Okay,
know?
that's right. You said you were from Florida originally.
Yeah, and then I moved to, you know, I did some school in South Carolina, then I went back to Florida and did some school in Florida again. South Carolina people, they really envy, like especially in a small town like Rock Hill.
Yeah.
They're super envious. You go to Florida and now everybody, like I didn't have anybody that was envious. Everybody was like really nice, welcoming, but also tour started at that time, and now I'm not at school like that, so I gotta switch to online school because you know I gotta travel every week. I'm somewhere else, and I just can't go to public school and then continue to do that.
For sure.
So yeah.
So it sounds like Florida was a little bit more accepting than South Carolina. And honestly, in my eyes, Florida is a little bit more of a creative hub for social media or influence or just public figures than South Carolina. No shade to South Carolina. But
I'm not going to lie. Carolinas in general is just, everybody's still on Facebook. So,
for sure, dude, you're preaching right now.
Florida, you got, random people doing random things with their hair, their style. They're not afraid to, like Ski Mask said, there's something in that water. It's that pollution. It's making everybody different. So, you got everybody just creative in Florida. And even if they're not creative, they're different.
Yeah.
So nobody's really judgmental about what you do.
So, how prominent was Vine when you were still in high school, or was TikTok, or I guess it was Musical.ly when it first came out? But
yeah. So I think Vine, it was going towards the end of Vine.
Yeah.
When it low-key stopped.
I think Vine was done before I even got out of high school. Honestly.
Yeah,
I think it was in 2014 when they deleted Vine.
Yeah, and then Musical.ly was low-key big, but when it shifted into TikTok, I wasn't really on Musical.ly. But when it shifted into TikTok, everybody's like, you got to hop on this. You got to do this now. You got to do this now. And I guess I did it. And
so I know you said you had gone on some tours and stuff, but what were some of the first brands or, outsiders that kind of hit you up to do some promotion for them? And also what was your kind of initial reaction to that?
Sprayground.
Okay.
Sprayground. I used to rock their bag, getting their bags from City Trends and stuff back in when I was younger. And then when I went out to LA for the first time, I was at an event and Sprayground reached out to me. They gave me a book bag and they did we did a whole photo shoot and stuff. They gave me a couple other things. I don't even remember what, and that was when I was oh shit, this is something I used to rock, and now they're wanting me to be photo shoots, posting me up and stuff. So that was one of the first big ones, and Curology, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The Sad Society, which was pretty big, and I think Pizza Slime. I don't know if you remember Pizza Slime. They had the sweatpants that say "Stop looking at my dick." Yeah.
All right. So, what was your kind of reaction to that? I know you said that was something that you used to rock, and now they're asking you to do promotions. But how did that make you? Did that do something for your confidence? Did it increase your drive to want to just keep working? Or
yeah, it definitely opened my eyes. Okay, I can. If I'm working with something like Sprayground, that's a lot of people are rocking in high school. Everybody's knows what Sprayground is. If I'm working with something like that, I can work with pretty much anybody I want to. And I ended up working with H&M. And that was huge. And then I don't want to say too much, but just recently I got offered for something for Louis Vuitton. And so now
tuned.
It's Look. So now it's building my way up, and I eventually want to get to that level with Dior.
Yeah.
And going out to Paris and Milan for Dior fashion shows and stuff like that. That's one of the big goals that I got right now.
So were you signed, I know you said the shows and, some of these brands were hitting you up kind of towards the end of high school, but were you signed with an agency or anything like that where they were contacting the agency to get to you, or was this all directly to, your DMs or maybe even to your phone number?
So at first, I was signed to MTM, an agency, but they only do commercial type of stuff. So if you want to be in a film or do runway modeling and stuff like that, that's what they're for. For social media, you have a manager,
Okay.
and they kind of take care of brand deals, kind of smaller stuff, or if you want to go on tour. I was signed to this manager called Talent X, who opened doorways for a lot of everybody's favorite artists and creators. I was staying out in Bel Air for a while with them at their Sway House or something like that, and it was super nice, having someone to be able to take care of all that stuff. But then you see the real side behind everything and how they handle stuff, and that's when I was So I kind of try to do my own thing. I still have an agency, but it's non-exclusive, and I try to do everything myself. It low-key gets really tiring, so sometimes I do have an assistant or something.
For sure.
But I try not to have a manager that's taking a lot of money or trying to make you into something that you're not.
Exactly. Seems like a lot of, even with record labels, it seems like once they find an artist or a potential model or anything like that has potential, they kind of want to mold them into what the label wants them to be.
Yeah, you can't do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And I've realized that. And it's not, I don't want to say anything about Talent X like that, but even other managers that I did have, they want you to rebrand in the image that they think is going to be good for you. Mm-hmm. And it might not be something that you want,
Yeah.
So they really wanted to brand me as a really emo type of person.
Okay.
And I do get it. I wear all black. I have dark features. I get it. But they wanted me to do weird, color my hair every other month, kill my hair, I can't post what I want to post. They would have to, tell me what to post in a sense. And it was just like everything I had to do was like I'm being told what to do. And at that point, like I'm, an adult. Like I just turned 18. I kind of like am enjoying my freedom. I don't need somebody telling me, like you can't do this, you can't do that.
So when I was in high school, it was kind of set in stone that if you didn't go to college, you weren't going to succeed in life, which couldn't be further from the truth.
Oh,
but being in an influencer kind of lifestyle, was that something that you did kind of consider post-high school, maybe going to college for? Or because you already had so much motion coming out of high school, you didn't really need that further education? It was more like, let's hit the ground running and let's just get to work.
I always never thought of the idea of college. I always said like, you don't need it. Like growing up, I was like, I don't need it. I'm gonna figure it out. Even before I did social media, like I didn't want to go to college.
Not even for like the sports that you were doing or anything?
I got offered, and that was the only time I was considering it. But, after my accident, I was like, there's no way I'm going to go to college. I was living with my grandparents at the time. My family life was pretty bad. I came from a broken home, so they wouldn't have the money to send me off to college.
For sure.
And I had to figure it out myself. And I wasn't the best in grades. I scored really high on tests. Wasn't the best, doing homework or focusing. I had really bad ADHD. So, but now that I'm like, kind of more grown, I'm around a lot more college people. We go to UNCW all the time for events and shows. Shout out Varnish. But
I see you posting them like every weekend, so you're traveling a lot.
Yeah, so we're going there almost every other week at this point. And it's out there at the beach, but all the college kids there, they're awesome. Like, they show so much love. They really, like, their club scene is a lot different than Charlotte's club scene out there in Wilmington. So we go out there a lot, and we work with this nightclub called Varnish. And I just really want, like, now looking back at it, I kind of want the experience, to have gone to college. I don't necessarily think you need it, especially like right now. I've gotten so far. I'm successful enough without it.
Yeah.
But it's all about experiences. Like, you're only gonna be young once, and so you not going to college and missing out on the experience to meet new friends or just like enjoy frat parties and stuff like that. It's kind of a big deal,
For sure.
But I mean, like I said, you don't really need it. People are making millions of dollars online.
Bro, I feel like some of the more successful people did it their own way without school.
Oh yeah.
So you had you said you lived in Bel Air too. You kind of just threw that in there really quick, but I did want to talk about so you lived in what, 4 states then, or 3? How many is that? That's Florida, South Carolina.
I did live in Tennessee for a little bit when I was younger too.
That's enough. Yeah. So what was your favorite state you lived in? I mean, I know you said Florida was a little bit more accepting for the kind of industry that you wanted to get into, but Bel Air in California, I just went to LA for the first time 2 weeks ago, and that energy out there is insane, especially for like a creative.
For what you do, yeah.
Exactly. So what was your favorite area?
If we're talking about social media wise and like and things to do and enjoyment wise, LA definitely.
For sure.
But if you're talking about like actual comfortability and feeling like you're at home, you're getting nice tans and everything, definitely Florida.
I got you.
And Florida's definitely like, I highly recommend if you don't want to be around a whole bunch of fake people, you go to Florida.
For sure. And what was the name of that town in Florida?
Margate, and then I also lived in Central, so I was like near like Orlando, Oviedo area. Okay,
that's what I was gonna ask. What like major cities? I've been to Orlando. I've been to Miami.
Yeah, Margate's like
absolutely insane.
Margate's 30 minutes outside of Miami.
Okay, so were you a frequent in Miami, especially getting into like the modeling and fashion scene, because that's a very big scene in Miami.
Yes and no. So I more like just kind of hung out with a whole bunch of people in like Miami, just because it's always lit. But I wasn't even old enough to go into clubs.
For sure.
I was able to go into like my first club, I think, when I moved back to Florida, when I went to Orlando area.
Okay.
That's when I was like, I was like 17, 18, and I was like getting snuck into clubs and stuff. But that was like my first club experience. Other than that, like it was more just like hanging out with friends, playing video games, doing just riding dirt bikes, 4-wheelers.
You used to ride dirt bikes?
Yeah, well, I'm not really the best on dirt bikes. I'm a 4-wheeler type of guy.
I got you. I used to race back in the day when I was growing up. That's why I asked.
I'm not good on 2-wheelers.
It is a little bit more. I won't say it's more dangerous, but I mean,
crashing into houses. I took out somebody's front porch on a dirt bike.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm not the best on a dirt bike, man.
So, Florida was your favorite as far as like feeling like home, but Cali was more of the creative home.
Yeah, you got more stuff to do. You can collaborate. Like, you're never bored.
For sure. So, to get back to the post high school, so you went on the tour, you weren't really planning on going to college or anything. What was kind of your next step once you got done with the school situation and you were hitting the ground running with work and modeling and influencing?
So, like, after the sports situation, I definitely did get my first job. You know, I was working at Bojangles.
Okay.
And it was disgusting, and I realized that's when I never want to work again. You know,
I think everybody should work in a restaurant at least once.
You do learn the value of money, but it's low-key disgusting. Like, you see behind some of your favorite, like, restaurants and stuff. And
don't want to go back.
Oh, yeah, no. You see the floors and everything. It's disgusting. So, I did work one job. And I realized I never want to do that shit again. You know, it was soul destroying, because even then, like, I'm low key, like, kind of getting big on social media. Like, in Rock Hill, I was easily one of the biggest in the city with like 10K followers, because nobody was on that type of stuff back then, and it was low key, it was embarrassing, you know. But I learned, you know, the value of money. I learned a lot of things, like how to interact with people, even if somebody's like being an asshole to you. You learn how to, you know, accept it a little bit.
Besides, you know, some of the negative feedback, what were some of the major challenges you faced trying to get into the industry that you were in? Like, what were some of the biggest obstacles you had to overcome?
Patience for sure, and consistency. I want to say, like, the patience for a reason, because you got to really want it. And these numbers and these fans and followers and supporters, they're not going to come overnight. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the things that you want are not going to come overnight. And it might not come in a year. It might not come in 2 years. But, you know, you got to learn patience and kind of just stick with it and let it, you know, let it go. If your numbers do well one time, cool, and then they do bad the next time, like, don't give up. Don't feel discouraged. Like, just keep on going. And then, I don't know, man, like, consistency is a real big one. Definitely, like, trying to keep on the same posting schedule, you know, like, constantly making sure you have new content, constantly leaving the house to film content. I think those were two of the biggest struggles. And also, like, on my first tour that I did, I was low-key broke. I was real broke. And it's trying to find a way around that to get to the end goal. So sometimes you have to sacrifice, you know, not being able to eat to go see your supporters. Because I'm really big on, like, you know, making sure my supporters are feeling as heard, you know, as I feel, like, as I am to them, you know? So sometimes you just got to sacrifice a lot to get what you want in the end, and it all works out.
So you were doing, you know, you were meeting up with some supporters and going on these tours and doing shows and stuff.
Yeah.
It sounds like you sort of had a little bit of a team around you kind of helping out with this kind of stuff, or kind of showing, were they like showing you the ropes, or were you guys kind of all getting your foot in the door at the same time and you were all kind of learning as you went together?
So my first management team, I think everybody around me were new talent, so we were all learning. But the guy that was the manager, he's been around for a while. Like, he was around for years in social media. Like, when I said back to the Cameron Dallas days, like, he was huge into that. So he was kind of like slowly teaching us, but he kind of left it in our hands to figure out, you know, what we want to do. And that was probably my favorite manager. And I think we were all just kind of starting out and learning, you know, just trying to figure out, you know, what works and what doesn't work. We're seeing, you know, everybody around us at that time, you know, TikTok was still very new. So we have a whole new wave of creatives coming up because TikTok is, like, letting people blow up. For sure. You know?
So this is actually a decent pausing point. I do have to change these batteries real quick. So we're going to take a quick break, y'all. Word from the sponsors, and we will be right back. All right, welcome back from our short break. We had a word from the sponsors, and we are back with our man Gabriel. So we left off, and we were just talking about your fan base starting to grow. You were going on tours, meeting some of your fans and stuff like that. So what was that like to kind of see people that actually were kind of looking up to you, inspired by you, and not only to see that, but also meet them in person? And what was their kind of initial reaction? Were they going like, oh my God, like, it's Gabriel? Or were they like super chill, or how'd that go?
It was actually, like, really inspiring. You know, the first time I, you know, had a show or anything, the way that they're set up, a lot of them are at, like, convention centers and, like, hotels with convention centers. Mm-hmm. So, like, we'd walk out of our hotel room and, like, there's lines of just people screaming, and that was, like, holy shit, you know. And it got really deep to a point where, like, people are, like, putting so much on you, you know, like, they come up to you. We have like a short amount of time that we can meet them for, and we try to extend it. At least some of us do. Some of these creators are low-key dicks, but we try to extend it, because they're paying a lot of money to come see you, and having them come see you for like 30 seconds to a minute is not enough.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there trying to like, oh, you saved my life, you saved this, you did that, it's sad. It's really sad, and it sucks for me as especially, but it's also very motivational, inspiring, because at least I can give them that 30 seconds to a minute, to have a good time and
sure.
talk about stuff and take pictures and make them feel seen too.
So these people were buying tickets to come and see you and like another group of like influencers and stuff. And you also just kind of mentioned that some of the influencers, I'm not sure if they were people you were working with or what. You don't have to mention any names, but they were kind of dicks.
Yeah.
So what was it like to kind of like, try to stay humble and true to yourself and, not become, too big of an ego?
I try to naturally be a humble person. I mean, like, obviously I know I'm in a good position, but there's no point in, going around boasting about it, going around telling everybody I'm the shit, look at me, or even acting like you're the shit, because somebody's always bigger than you, someone's always better than you, and you wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for those supporters.
For sure.
And I will say this about the, influencers and some of these creators being a dick. I'm not going to drop any names, but there's this one guy that, it was still my first show, and, we have like intermissions between the meet and greets. And we're there all day, so we're all tired, fans jumping on us, taking pictures. And we go into the little break room, and this guy is, like, yelling. Because he's like, I'm wearing this $500 designer jacket. Do you know what brand this is? And they're touching it. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, why are you here? Yeah. Why are you here? If you don't care about meeting them, why are you here?
Yeah.
Like, go home, go somewhere else, bro. Because, like, that's the type of stuff that pisses me off. Like, you would not be in this position if it wasn't for these supporters.
For sure.
And I try to use the word supporters because I know fan has like a kind of a bad thing to it. I try to use supporters, but
to talk about the TikTok stuff too.
Yeah.
So you said you weren't really like doing anything crazy. I mean, you said they were like cringe videos, but what was the first kind of viral, or maybe it was on Instagram, I'm not sure. Like, do you remember your very first post on social media that kind of went viral and got that kind of traction that you were like, dang, this is something that's serious?
My Instagram picture started doing good, but like TikTok, I think it was like my second or third video on TikTok. I just made like a reaction video, and I like did like a funny like fall back in my chair. It was cringe, but I fell like back in my chair or whatever, and that thing hit like 600,000 views.
Sheesh.
And back then I was like, that was the biggest number I've seen.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, And then like even like subtle things, like me and her made a video like reacting to like these Donald Trump face masks, and it had like 10 million views.
Damn.
Yeah, 17 million. Yeah, 17 million views. And
I'm like,
crazy. I'm like, yo, like, I don't know what it is. And I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm going to just make a video of just my face and see what happens. I made a video of my face, and I hit like 2 million views. And I was like, I don't understand this algorithm. I don't understand what's going on. Like, it was just a real, like, weird time for me because I wasn't putting that much effort into it, but they were just doing extremely well.
Were these consistent posts? And also, you just mentioned the algorithm, which is something I'm still trying to figure out myself, is like when to post, how to post, what to say in your captions. You were just telling me when we took our break that if you have a video from TikTok and you post it on a different, or any social media platform, and you post it on a competing social media platform, it kind of affects the algorithm itself. So how did you kind of learn about that? And also to talk about those original posts, how consistent were you with those?
So when I first started social media, I had nobody like to help me. I kind of got a little bit bigger, and like I said, I was around like 30K, and I just started TikTok. I think I had maybe like 50K on TikTok or something. And there was this other influencer from Fort Mill, and he was inviting me out to a Halloween party, and I met him for the first time. His name is Jonas. And he became like kind of a guidance for me, like an older brother in a sense. Like, he was showing me the ropes. He was teaching me, like, you want to post 3 times a day on TikTok, and you want to post every single day on TikTok, 3 videos a day. Have good lighting, use hashtags, use, viral sounds. And that's how I kind of learned the TikTok algorithm. Sorry. Instagram's a little bit different, though. Instagram is like, they change their algorithm every like other month or so, so every time there's an update, there's a new algorithm. And when I started Instagram, it was a little bit easier because everybody who follows you can see your posts. Nowadays, they solely focus on reels because they're trying to compete with like YouTube Shorts and TikTok and all these other video platforms. So pictures aren't getting like put on the explore page as much, and I've realized that, and now you have to work around that. You want to work around like posting times. They want you to try to like post like 2 to 3 times a week, and on your story you got to post like 6 times. Any times more than 6 times, now you're like not getting as much engagement on your story. It's like Instagram is just a weird thing that you're constantly having to relearn because it's constantly changing.
For sure.
You know, and it didn't come like instantly. Like nobody really knows the TikTok or the Instagram algorithm except for like people who are on the phone with Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, like 'cause some people have Instagram representatives, and I just got one not too long ago. So now they're giving me notes on how to grow, but they don't have that for everybody. And so like now you just have to learn. You gotta try what works and what doesn't work based on your following, based on your location, stuff like that. So
it's a bunch of trial and error.
Yeah.
So you did just mention YouTube a little bit, and we haven't really talked about YouTube yet. I don't know if you can consider YouTube social media. It's kind of like a streaming platform in a sense, but I guess it's kind of leaning towards more social media nowadays. But did you ever start? When did you start dabbling in that, or do you even dabble in that at all?
I did have a YouTube for a while, and I had like 50,000 subscribers. I wasn't like too much on it, you know. But this was before like the new guideline switch.
Yeah.
So I had an intro video, and I think it was slightly longer than 15 seconds, and it had like a Lil Uzi song. So I was getting back onto it and stuff, and then the guideline switch, and it struck all my videos and basically deleted my account because of like this copyright thing, because it has to be 15 seconds and all this and that. I think it was maybe like 16.1 seconds, you know. And so it took down my whole page, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with this, you know. And
you had 50,000 subscribers though, and this was something that you didn't even like. You were just like, whatever, I'm kind of just going to do it.
So like I wasn't like taking it serious because I was like more focused on TikTok at the time, because that was the platform that's bringing me my most views and my most money at the time. So I was solely focused on that, and then like maybe like once a week I'll post a YouTube video, like a reaction to a music video, or like, you know, judging Coachella outfits and stuff like that. But yeah, I wasn't too consistent on it, but I do know that a lot of my following on YouTube was from, you know, TikTok and Instagram.
For sure.
Yeah.
Did you have any sort of inspiration as far as like influencers or models or anything like that goes when you first started out, or maybe when you even got a little bit deeper into it, you like saw someone that you came across, maybe you met them at one of the shows or whatever, and you were like, dang, this is someone I can kind of, you know, look up to in a sense in the industry that I'm trying to get into?
I wouldn't say, you know. So, like, when I first started, I was kind of, like, trying to get the same, like, Cameron Dallas aesthetic. So I wasn't even dressing, like, dark grunge and all that. But, like, nowadays, like, I don't look up to any of these, you know, because you try to, you know.
Be yourself.
Yeah. You want to get to that point where, like, your idols become your rivals, you know. And so I try to not keep, you know, watching other people and stuff. But I do gain inspiration from other influencers, like, that are under the same, you know, aesthetic, same type of wave that I'm on, like people like Jaden Hosler and like Lil Huddy and stuff like that. That obviously what they're doing is working, you know, like seeing how like what like they're doing these fashion shows, or they're working with these brands, or they're posting at these times, and like just the aesthetic behind it, just to, you know, gain inspiration and figure out, you know, what I want to do, because I want to know like what these supporters, because we all like have around the same like support base, you know. We have all like our supporters, my supporters especially, they go and like their stuff as well. So I want to see what they like, you know, so I can try to go more down that wave as well. And I was signed to their, you know, their management. So it's not like I'm like looking up to them per se, but I did, you know, I do take, you know, inspiration notes a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you did mention, you know, the grunge kind of fashion style, but before that seemed like it was more, would you consider it like preppy in a sense? I'm not sure how to
definitely in high school, bro. I did try it, like, because I was always dressing grunge, but like when I was playing football and stuff and starting off as modeling, it was more, I hate to say it, but it was like a frat boy type of style, you know, because I knew that that's what people wanted to see at that time.
That was what was cool when we were.
And I hated it, bro. I hated wearing this Shawn Mendes ass shirt and, you know, wearing these khaki shorts. I hated it. Sperry's, bro.
No, like, socks. Shit,
that was the worst. Highlights in my hair.
yeah. When I was in high school, the Sperry's with elite socks was an elite combination, man.
No, I remember that days. I remember them days, and I wasn't even around in like that time. But I do remember people wearing Sperry socks and elite socks and Sperry's, bro. That was like the hardest combination.
Talk about a cringe time.
Or them like KD6s.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always thought the KD6s reminded me of like soccer cleats in a sense. I was never a huge fan. My favorites were the KD4s, but what kind of like, what was like the first article of clothing that you remember? Maybe it was like a pair of shoes, a pair of pants. I know you said you had Spray, what was the name of that brand?
Sprayground.
Sprayground. Well, was that kind of the first, fashion article of clothing that you kind of got that was really like, this is something that I love, you know?
I mean, back in high school, I did like like hype beast stuff though. I wasn't really like, I loved it at the time. Like, oh, Yeezy just dropped. Let me go buy the new pair of Yeezys and spend all this money on a pair of shoes that probably made, they made it for like $12, But, looking back at it, I didn't love it as much as I love like what he calls over there chic fashion. Like, I'm just now learning chic fashion.
What is chic fashion for those who don't know? Because I'm actually not sure, honestly. It's
more of like a dark aesthetic, like clean, dark aesthetic, like a lot of like leather and like vintage stuff. He can explain it a lot better than I can, but
is that something that's like newer to today?
Yeah, I mean, I even used to compare it, and they used to have to correct me. Like, I was saying like opium fashion, like what Playboy Cardi is on, but especially what he does, what Nicki does is like it's a little bit different. It's more designer instead of wearing like just all leather. Like, you're wearing more designer with it and higher fashion and stuff. But that's not even like just what I like. I'm starting to get into like earth tones. I used to wear like the Sperry's and stuff like that, but this isn't like, it's not the same going from something like that to like working with actual like designer brands.
Yeah.
And that's what I fell in love with, like the fabric, how it's made, how it looks, like how your body looks in it, because everybody has a different shape, so what may work for me is not gonna work for somebody else.
For sure.
And what works for somebody else that I like, it's not gonna work for me.
For sure.
Yeah.
So to talk about, we're back to the post high school. I know we kind of jumped back a little bit to when you were in high school and getting back into fashion, but back to post high school, you had done a couple shows, you were going on tours. What was the very, next step after that? Where were you trying to head with it? Were you wanting to do more shows, more tours? Were you looking to do more modeling? Were you still, focused on TikTok and social media? Is that, or was it all kind of just as it goes? That's when you were gonna, find your interest in it.
Well, like I said, I started off like wanting to be a model. Even before TikTok, I wanted to be a model. Like, that's what I was really going for. And then like TikTok and these shows and tours, it kind of distracted me from that. Yeah. And then like right after that, I was like, okay, well, I'm getting a little bit older now. I need something that's gonna have longevity, because social media is not gonna be here forever. And I went back and I was like, I still love fashion. Let's get into modeling. And so I went to some classes for it, and I went to school for it. And I learned to love the runway. I used to be like really shy, and I guess the tours kind of broke me out of that, like the stage fright type of thing. Mm-hmm. But like runway's a different breed. Now you're not having people like know who you are, and they're like excited to see you. Now you're having people sit there with their phones out judging you. And I learned to really love that, going to school and learning how to act a little bit and stuff. That's where I felt home. Like, I felt really comfortable, good there. And so I started doing like modeling again, and I started doing some fashion shows, putting together pieces, matching colors, learning it, not just doing it, but learning,
Student of the game.
Yeah. So like, if you want to get into fashion, you got to look at, your favorite fashion designers and see how they started, see, the meaning behind their brand, their, inspiration, so that you can try to capture that moment with what you wear.
For sure.
And that's what I fell in love with. Like, right now, like, I'm really in love with that stuff right now. Yeah.
Was it intimidating, for one, doing like your first show and first tour and everything like that, but also to kind of get involved with the runway? Because I know you were saying that's a completely different realm that not many people are really involved with. Because I know with Mr. SOC & Co. Shout out Sam. He's a creative agency, and we have a few models that we're working with, teaching them how to walk, or maybe working on headshots and stuff like that. So was that kind of intimidating to kind of not only shift your focus back to modeling, but even when you were focused on social media, was it intimidating to go to these shows and meet fans? And I know you said it was a little inspiring, but like,
because your first time doing anything, you're gonna be a little intimidated, because you're around people that have done this before, and now you don't want to mess up, you don't want to do anything wrong, you don't want to say anything wrong, you want to make sure you're looking good at all times, because people are constantly taking pictures of you, taking pictures with you, so you want to make sure that you look good at all times. And it was a little nerve-wracking, definitely, like, having multiple, like, hundreds of people come up to you a day. It gets tiring, but it's also, like, like, you're not used to it, you know? And then going into fashion, like, runways and stuff, my first fashion show, like, I was listed as, like, a guest, I don't know how to...
Like, guest appearance?
Yeah, guest appearance, guest model, and that was my first show. So now, like, not only that, but they're promoting me as, like, a big model. And I came out of school for it, but this is my first show, so it's like I don't know what to expect. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I want to make sure that I hit the poses right, hit the timing right, make sure I'm not shaking and everything, like. So it's a learning experience, and definitely, like, once you get past that, it's fun. It's like, it's real fun, but you gotta get past that fear, at the start.
Is that something that you would learn something in person with, whether it was like a modeling coach or a photographer or whatever the case was, and then take it back home and kind of practice your skills, maybe in like the mirror, maybe even setting up a camera and working on your walk or whatever the case was?
Exactly. So I was lucky enough to have a huge mirror in my bedroom, and I went to school, and they taught me enough, but I would do more practicing at home and watching more videos at home, seeing like these bigger fashion shows, like how they're walking, how they're looking, what their makeup and all that stuff. So I did a lot more studying. For sure. And I wasn't the studying type of guy, especially in school, but that was one thing I did catch myself studying for a lot.
Sounds like, once you found that passion and that interest, that was when you were able to kind of learn about it. Because, in high school and college, it's kind of, they tell you kind of what to learn. So not everyone's going to be interested in it or want to learn it, want to do the homework, want to do the extra stuff outside of it to be good at it. But once you found that passion, it sounded like you were able to kind of become a student of the game and become, what you wanted to be.
Yeah, you're in school. I've still never used like y equals mx plus b.
Bro, why did we learn that?
Why do I care? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't even remember what that formula was for, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah, it stuck with me.
Like, but if you're like learning something that you really want to do, you're gonna try and take it to the best of your abilities, and you want to do it. It's not even homework at that point. It's like you want to get better. You want to be the best that you can be at it. So I definitely would say, like, especially people in high school and stuff, once you get out of high school, try to pick up something that you love to do. Try to find something that piques your interest and then just study it and become a master at it. And I'm not even there yet. Like, I've done a lot of fashion shows. I've done a lot of photo shoots. I'm not even a master at it, So it's
constantly learning and evolving.
You're constantly learning. I love to learn new stuff that I'm gonna apply, and that's why I like going into this new fashion stuff that I'm doing now. I literally am going through my whole closets and storage units and stuff like that full of clothes. I'm just getting rid of everything and kind of just rebranding in a sense that, like, stuff that I want to wear, stuff that it might not be like hype or whatever, but I like how it looks. I like how it contours my body and stuff like that. So constantly learning new stuff about fashion and stepping into something that maybe isn't in your comfort zone, for sure.
So you, the first runway gig you did, you said you were brought on as like a guest model. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what was that like to, one, walk down the runway, and what was this, what were you modeling for? Was this for like just a photo shoot, or was this something that was going to be streamed somewhere? What was this for?
So my first fashion show was actually in Charlotte, and it was, I don't even remember the name of the fashion show, but it was like a whole bunch of big local underground brands, and like a underground type fashion. So they had, leather jeans or leather pants that had like cool straps and stuff on them. I didn't really, like I said, I didn't know what to expect. So I go in there and they had rehearsals and stuff, and I start meeting people, and some of these people are like my best friends now, and that was like years ago. And it's just like finding the people that you want to click up with, be able to talk with, so now you're not feeling alone in the situation. And I think that the day of the show, I go in there and like everybody's in the back, like green room, getting ready, getting changed, everybody's rushing. It was my first time experiencing something like that, where like everybody's on the same page as you. Everybody's like stressing out, editing their outfit last minute, putting things together last minute, and then some people mess up, some people don't, but it was still a good show at the end. And it was a fun experience, but it was definitely a learning experience.
I know you said you learned a lot from that first experience, and it was slightly intimidating. Anytime you try something new, it's always going to be intimidating. But what kind of rush did that give you though too, to be involved in something like that, to where you're like, finally I'm involved with something that I've been wanting to do, and I'm kind of being recognized. And also, did they did you have to try out for this, or was someone reaching out to you to be like, hey, come on for this runway shoot?
I think someone reached out to my manager at the time and was like, we're doing a fashion show in Charlotte, we would love to have you.
For sure.
And I was posting like some stuff about like fashion. I think I was doing a couple photo shoots, but I'd never done a runway. And so they reached out, and it was like kind of an experience, like, because this is something I wanted to do. I just didn't know how to get my foot into the door, especially in Charlotte. I'm new around here. I don't know anybody who's in the fashion scene. I don't know, anybody who does fashion shows. I didn't even know there was fashion shows in Charlotte, know. And it was definitely like, a great experience. But what really made me love it was definitely the energy that everybody brought. Not even just the models, but everybody in the crowd and everything. They're all into fashion. They're all dressed really cool. Like, they're all swagged out, And that's what made me love it, is because like everybody's liking the same stuff. You're around the same energy, same wavelength at that point. So it was definitely that's what got me, was the culture behind it.
I'm assuming there was a stylist, a makeup artist, a director, and all that. What was that kind of like to finally? Because beforehand, were you kind of just doing all the styling and hairs and stuff like that yourself, or did you have someone before?
When I was on tour, I had like nail techs, and I had like hair designers, hairstylists, and I really didn't, I had some stylists, but it wasn't like, I preferred to style myself.
For sure.
Because they're going to put you in something that you don't like. But yeah, they did have a lot of those things, and I was like, okay, like they did prepare me for that at the school that I went to for it. But, seeing it in person, it's like, okay, this is a big deal.
For sure.
And then I think it was earlier last year, I did a fashion show. And it was the weirdest fashion show. I loved it. I fucking loved it. But like going into it, they were like, you gotta wear a dress.
Was it out of your comfort zone?
They had put me in a dress. Like, I was like, all right. Like, at first I was like, I might just leave. I might just, head out the back and hope nobody notices. But after me and Kayla talked about it, we were like, you know what? If I'm going to try and do something in Milan or Paris, you don't know what they're going to put you in.
Yeah.
Get used to it now. And I got used to it. We got some fire pictures. Looking back at it, the outfit, it's not much my taste. It was a whole bunch of bright colors, greens with pinks and stuff. But it was fire. Looking back at it, like, it was definitely an experience, and it got me out of that comfort zone,
I know you said when you were in high school that, the sports kind of helped you get in more physical shape. Was that something that you kind of had to watch too once you started doing more modeling and stuff like that? Was there people telling you, you need to watch your figure, watch what you eat?
Well, when I first started modeling, I really was super skinny because, I have ADHD, so I was taking Adderall and I'm barely eating. I wasn't playing football as much. I was still trying to work out as much as possible, but I was pretty skinny, So nobody really came to me about it. I had to notice it myself, especially this past year. I had a big problem with drinking, and I did have my, drug phase, and it got really bad to the point where I got sobered up on everything. Stopped smoking weed, stopped, not going to name the drugs, but I stopped doing what I was doing. And
I just recently became sober as well, so kudos to you.
Good job, man.
Yeah, I'm only on like day 4, but it's been like a tough week so far.
But here's the thing with that: when I stopped smoking weed and I stopped, doing all this other stuff, I really my metabolism got fucked, And so I'm stress eating because I'm, craving this stuff. I'm eating every day, and I started gaining a whole bunch of weight. I went from 130 to 160. And that's when I was like, I took a break off of social media. I was just not in the right space, because I was like, I'm gaining a whole bunch of weight. I'm not feeling motivated. I'm feeling like irritated, stuff like that. And I got into drinking, and that didn't even help at all. That made everything worse.
Were you doing some of this stuff to kind of cope, or was this just something?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like an anxiety thing, especially, when I wasn't at home, I didn't have the chance to, meet up with my therapist and, get my medications and stuff. I had to, resort to other things, and it was very unhealthy. And actually what introduced it to me was actually people on tour, some other influencers kind of like got me started on it. I was smoking weed a little bit, but I wasn't doing anything like that, and I'm not saying it's like super bad, but it's definitely like not
something you probably wouldn't expect these type of people to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, I'm not saying stuff like heroin, but like, still really on that, opiums and stuff, bad side of things, downers and uppers, and mixing them, like learning about it. And it was just like, it helped take the stress off of everything, to calm the nerves, have a good time, feel good, all that. And
But was it helping ultimately in the end?
no, it actually became an addiction,
Yeah.
And even when I wasn't on tour, now I felt the need to have it, And it didn't help that I'm listening to like Juice World and everybody like basically telling you like, you love it, feed it down you, But when I got off of it, as much as I did feel, irritated and stuff, I felt better. I realized like most of my anxiety came from taking those in the end.
Yeah.
Coming off of that, being completely sober was an amazing feeling. And then getting into drinking, because I'm around the club scene, and I'm around everybody that drinks. I have an addicted personality. So now, not only that, I'm looking at like being addicted to alcohol now. I'm becoming an alcoholic. And that became really bad for a while, especially all last year. She could tell you, like, I was really bad drunk, and I had to like tell myself like stop drinking so much. Like it's cool to have a drink here and there. It's cool, enjoy your time, but do not every single day of the week go out and buy drinks and drink. Like it's not good for anybody. So I stopped doing that.
Started to feel a lot better
yeah,
too.
I definitely slowed down a lot. I barely drink now, and I'm just staying completely sober. Obviously, I still take Adderall for my ADHD, which gives me like it's like a shaky feeling, makes me energized, makes me motivated. But coming back to social media after getting like more healthier and taking care of my skin, getting into skincare, losing all that weight, it's definitely like it feels good to be back,
For sure. And this is actually going to be the perfect pausing point, because when we get back, we're going to talk about Gabriel's comeback to social media. So another quick break, y'all. Changing the batteries, word from the sponsors, and we will be right back. All right, y'all, welcome back. Took a quick break, changed the batteries, and we are back with Gabriel. We were leaving off where he was kind of changing up his lifestyle in a sense. He's making a comeback on social media. He's sober now. But before we kind of segue into that, I do want to touch on the modeling aspect one more time.
Yeah.
So was there ever any instances, I know you said that you were asked to wear a dress at one point in one of the shoots, but was there anything besides being mentally uncomfortable with it? How about physically? Like, was there ever, an article that people were like, yeah, you need this, and to do a walk down the runway, and it was just completely uncomfortable to not only walk in, but to even wear itself?
I think the dress one was definitely one of those times. It was like, I've never worn a dress before. I mean, I think I wore one once for like a funny videos with a whole bunch of friends, right? But wearing it for a few hours, and then like most of the clothes, like say I had like this dress on, and then I had this tight shirt on top of it, and then a jacket, and then a ski mask. So not only that, but it's also summertime. I'm hot as shit. We're waiting for our set to come on, and you're just standing around wearing this stuff, and it's super uncomfortable. But I've also done like fashion shows where it's like you're wearing a whole bunch of heavy clothing, and sometimes it doesn't even fit. Like my first fashion show, the pants did not fit. So like I'm wearing these big baggy clothes, and I'm praying that I'm walking down like it's not gonna drop to my knees. Like,
how do they prevent stuff like that from happening when you do show up on set and an article doesn't fit the exact way it's supposed to? Are they using a bunch of like bobby pins, or what's the case with that? Hope for the best.
I think for that one, like we took a belt and put it on there and then just rolled it over, and so it did create like a bigger aspect. But I had a jacket on top of it, so it kind of it covered it a little bit. Usually some of these, like, they're tailored. You come in earlier in the week and get tailored, and they were supposed to do that, but they never got around to doing it. So that's where it came to like an issue. And there's always going to be like wardrobe, like in every fashion show, there's going to be wardrobe malfunctions, makeup malfunctions. You have to expect something to go wrong, because what will go wrong will. What can go wrong will go wrong. So it's definitely like you just got to adjust, and that's why I like it. It's like super fast paced, and you have to make adjustments on the fly. You gotta be prepared. Split second they could be like, oh, your set's early, now you gotta go rush all the way down to the stage and calm yourself right before you go on, and then make a clean walk and then walk back.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So what's your kind of like pre-game or like pre-runway ritual? Are you meditating, praying? Are you just I know you said you're trying to get focused and stuff, but what's kind of your process when you're getting into the zone?
I definitely like before these fashion shows, I do say a little prayer, making sure everything goes well, but focus on breathing, because I have really bad anxiety as well. So focusing on breathing, which was a technique that I've learned from a few different people, was like these breathing techniques. You breathe in for like 4 seconds, then you hold it for 6 seconds, and then you slowly exhale.
Yeah.
And it slows down your heart rate, calms you down. That's a big one for me. Listening to some music, definitely taking pictures beforehand. I always do that, is try to take pictures before I do it, so I can see how I look.
Get your confidence up.
Get my confidence up. See like what styles work, what poses work, and then just don't be in your head so much.
Yeah.
Just live in the moment. Like if you're like freaking out, talk to somebody. Just
sure.
hold a conversation with somebody. Get that off your mind, because you're not gonna freak out the whole time, especially when you're halfway down the runway. Like at first couple steps, it's gonna be like it's freaky. It's kind of freaky, but then once you get down the middle of it, you're like, okay, I got this. Just tell yourself you got it, and you got it.
What's it like having all eyes on you when you're on the runway? Not only all eyes on you, but the cameras are also pointing.
Don't look at them. Just do not look at whatever you do. Do not look at somebody. Somebody might be in the crowd trying to make you laugh. Do not look at anybody. Keep a straight face.
Where are you looking when you're doing this walk?
I try to look over everybody's heads, because I've realized, especially when I first had stage fright, is it kind of looks like you're looking at the camera, because the camera's right in front of you. If you look over their head, you're still looking in that direction.
Exactly.
You have a straight face. You're just not making eye contact with anybody.
I know you said you listen to music beforehand to kind of get in the zone. Who's some of your favorite artists?
Juice WRLD, Trippie Redd. I did like a little bit of Lil Uzi Vert. Not so much anymore, just because like everything changed.
He has transitioned a little bit.
He transitioned. I liked his old stuff. I like some Kodak Black, just because I'm from that area.
That is funny. You say you're from Florida. Yeah. Kodak's probably even bigger there than he is
same
here.
county.
No way.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Broward. Yeah, same with X. Yeah.
Oh
Broward,
damn!
yeah.
I did. Yeah, I forgot that him and X were from the same area. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
then,
crazy. Talk about some legends.
The Holiday. I found this artist named The Holiday,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I really enjoy his music. Bad Romance. I do listen to a lot of my friends' music. Like JoJo Tua and stuff like that. They kind of calm me down. I listen to like a range of different things. It just depends on the mindset I'm going for. So if I'm wearing like a real grunge aesthetic on the fashion show, then I'm gonna listen to more grungier music. If I'm listening to like a calm, clean, if I'm wearing a calm, clean fit, I'm gonna listen to something more like, I wouldn't say upbeat, but like calm.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get yourself in that mental mindset.
For sure. That's a dope process. That's something that I always like to ask people, especially when it's something that I've never even done. Like, I've made music, I've DJ'd, I've produced a little bit. So when I'm talking to artists, I kind of know what instance, although everyone's creative process is different.
Well, even especially like at the start of me modeling, like I said, I was drinking a lot. So I would have like a little drink beforehand, that calms my nerves. I do that. I used to do that just even before I go get a tattoo or something, it calms my nerves, makes me feel like not drunk. Don't get drunk, obviously, but like, a little sip of something, a little sip of wine or something, maybe a shot. It's going to get you to that mental set, like you don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You do your job and, get out.
So to talk about the drinking and the sobriety now and how that's really affected you, said it's made you feel better, although at first it was a little bit difficult. I did mention I'm 4 days sober, but I'm just taking it one day at a time, you know what I'm saying? So we are just trying to, feel better, be more mentally clear and stuff like that. But this is also a point where you're coming back, you're making a comeback on social media, you're sober now, but what kind of caused you to take that little bit of a break? Was it because you kind of gotten too involved in maybe the drinking and the drug aspect of things?
Yeah, I really couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I was starting to look different. I was, not taking care of myself as I should. I wasn't doing I didn't feel the motivation to like go out and do these photo shoots or plan a photo shoot or plan an event or even go travel. Like I just kind of wanted to stay at home and play the game because I felt comfortable just putting all my problems aside and not having to worry about anything. And I was comfortable, way too comfortable, and I had to get out of that because I worked so hard to be in the position I'm in right now. And if I just let that go, there's so many people that want to be in the position that I'm in. If I just stop doing it and just become, a drug addict or, an alcoholic, I'm just going to turn out like my father or my mother or something like that. I just continue the family ritual. I'm trying to be better so that I can get them out of that situation.
For sure. So it sounds like the pregame, like the breathing and the listening to music and kind of taking these photos, did that kind of substitute from when you were using these kind of, inebriates to kind of help out with the stress? Or
yeah, I definitely catch myself, like I said, hitting the vape a lot more. And that's the next thing. That's the last thing I have to give up is the vape. And I'm about to work with this company who they're going to be sending me like non-nicotine vapes, and so it's gonna like help me wean off of it.
I need that. I cut off everything cold turkey, so like
I can't.
I'm not even vaping
See,
right
vaping
now
is hard for me because even with like ADHD, like I have to be doing something with my hands, you know, hitting something. Like it's difficult.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like stomping my leg or like tapping something. Like it's like that constant like motion. Exactly. It's not even for a buzz or anything because at this point I don't get buzz.
I was about to say I don't even get a buzz from vapes anymore.
No.
It's more because I want the act of like I loved smoking weed for the longest time. I'd been smoking weed all day every day since I was 17 years old, which honestly is like the craziest thing to me that I started at such a young age and was such a consistent smoker. But even when I started vaping, it was never to feel that kind of buzz. It was always just to kind of have something to do. So now I'm trying to substitute it.
It's that motion, but it's also the comfortability of something in your lungs.
Exactly.
Yeah, it feels nice, and it sucks. Like it's so bad how they like flavored them and everything.
Dude, it's targeted towards like our generation. Like I'm not going to speak any specifics, but I just know younger people, 15, 14 that have.
When I was in high school, that's when I got into like Juuls and stuff.
Isn't
like
that crazy?
mint pods and everything. Like, and then when you run out and you can't get your hands on another one because nobody's gonna buy it for you, like. Now they had people come into school with like little droppers full of like vape juice, and they'll fill your pods up for $5. Like it was insane.
It's so sad though too. At the same time.
Yeah, it for sure is.
You really don't understand at such a young age those kind of habits that you develop is going to kind of stick with you for the rest of your life.
It's not good for your skin. It ages you faster. So now I have to take the extra step and do like. I spend like an hour on skincare a day now.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep my face like clean and everything. Learning what skincare products work and stuff like that. That's like one of my new favorite things is like skincare. I'm really big into skincare because I've seen my skin be glowing and I've seen my skin not be glowing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like once you get that, you gain a little bit more confidence. You do a photo shoot, even just take pictures. Like before every photo shoot, not only do I do skincare, I put on a little bit of makeup. Just to give it that extra. If I don't have a makeup artist with me, I'm gonna do it myself. A little bit of concealer, a little bit, and it just helps boost the confidence a little bit.
So let's talk about this comeback a little bit more. So now that you're completely sober, you're ready to you said you were even like going through your closets and stuff and kind of revamping your style in a sense as well. So what's the game plan for this comeback? What's your goals for the upcoming months, upcoming years? Where do you see yourself going with this comeback, and what are your goals from it?
Definitely. Like I said, I wanted to work with Dior. That's one of the main goals. Try to get Milan Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week. I've been passing up these New York Fashion Weeks to go party, this whole time. So this time I'm going to go. I'm going to get it done. Try to get eyes on me. Try and get out, out there. Build up my social media again. Actually post content instead of just, I'm going to do a lot more professional photo shoots, obviously, and video shoots. But I also have another page where I kind of just post stuff, like, for fun, So I'm going to be working on both of those. I was going to come back to TikTok.
We'll see about that. How do you feel about that ban, though, since you weren't really that involved with it in the past year or so, or however long it's been? But
that's why it stings a little bit because that's my biggest platform. I'm at
how many?
I'm at 500,000.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was about to say 500, 600K.
And that was the first platform I got verified on. Like it means a lot to me because that's what my started. And I pushed it off for so long because I hated my cringe videos, so I just didn't even want to look at them.
Yeah.
And so I archived everything, and I planned to come back with something different. A different vibe. Stuff like that. And then literally last week as I'm planning my comeback, and then the day before I heard that it passed, that they're banning it. And I was like, well, it really wasn't that big for me in the past 2 years. I guess I'll just make it. I made it work on Instagram before I can make it, if Instagram steps up, they got to step up and stop doing this whole Reels thing. And they work on helping everybody who wants to be on social media grow.
Even with TikTok not being there, you want to work with Dior, go to Milan for fashion shows, New York Fashion Week. Do you see TikTok being banned as kind of a drawback for those instances as far as exposure goes?
No, because really that type of thing, I mean, obviously they do look at social medias, and even on my backup page or my other page where I post it's still kind of fashion stuff, they're cool outfits, but it's more outfits like this, darker aesthetic. On my main account, obviously, I'm going down a different, way because I want to get to these brands. So I'm wearing more earth tones, colors like this and stuff like that, which is kind of stepping out of my comfort zone. But the way that these fit, the way that, button-ups and stuff, they look nice, you know. So I'm getting more into that on that side, but still going to, what I really, enjoy on my backup page. Because that's really, they see somebody wearing stuff like that. I might get picked for Rick Owens or something along that line, but that's not, I want to do that too, but also have, versatility.
For sure.
We're also working on a little bit of music, so I might
producing.
No, I'm actually gonna like start making like,
all right, bet.
I'm not gonna say rapping. I like alternative rock.
Who's your favorite band?
I like Alice in Chains.
All right, bet.
Alice in Chains. Kiss. I like the image of Kiss. Their music was all right. Motley Crue's big.
To me, Kiss, their image didn't exactly like their music is decent, is good. Their image seemed a little bit more like screamo or something.
Yeah, well, I like the image because they were comfortable with it.
Oh,
like, they were super confident of going out there with this face paint. One of them looking like a cat. You know, and I like that, like that confidence, the way that they moved.
They stepped out of they honestly kind of created a lane for artists to wear Doc Martens or like you said, wear the different kind of clothings, the leather, the painting their face and stuff like that.
It was normalized with them. But like music wise, I did like Motley Crue, Alice in Chains. I like the Misfits.
Did you watch that movie about Motley Crue?
Yeah, The Dirt.
Yeah, The Dirt. That shit was crazy as hell,
man. I'm telling you, I got this friend. His name is Montana. This man's looks straight up like Nikki Sixx.
No way.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, bro. Shout out to The Dirt. Shout out Motley Crue. Yeah. Shout out Alice in Chains, too. I love all those bands.
I love Alice in Chains. I missed them when they came to concert, man.
What was some of the reasons that you kind of wanted to get in music? Was it because of those artists, or that's just something else?
I'm around a lot of artists.
Okay.
I'm around a lot of producers, and fashion, is a big thing for me. But also, like, music's a big wave too. If you want to consistently grow, you got to step out of, your comfort zone. You got to do things that, social media is kind of dying in itself. Music's going to be here forever. Fashion's going to be here forever. So I'm trying to move towards more that wave so that when social media is at the point where it's, it's kind of going downhill already. So when it gets to that point, I don't have to rely on social media to pay my bills. I can rely on,
there's different avenues.
Modeling. I can rely on music. I can rely on, I did some acting, I can rely on some acting, stuff like that. So
this is something I ask everybody towards the end. We are getting towards the end, but I just want to ask you, how old are you now?
22.
22.
Yeah.
So where do you see yourself in 10 years? I know you said, you eventually want to work with Dior and Milan, but I see that happening a lot sooner than 10 years from now. But 10 years from now, where do you see Gabriel at?
I think I'm going to be
32 years old?
Yeah, I'm going to be a man of many hats. I'm probably still going to be posting and stuff, like content and stuff like that, but I'm probably going to be working a lot more on like business stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say too much, but we are working already on that wave, like outreaching, creating my own business as like, I want to start a wine company.
Shout out to wine.
It has a big, value, but not a lot of people go into it, and I have a whole idea for everything, and I do enjoy wine here and there. Like I stopped drinking liquor and beer. I have some wine here and there. I'm a big wine person. So
wine's a nice compliment with good meals, though, too. Yeah. People don't really drink wine to get drunk.
It's healthy for you. A little bit of red wine a day, bro. That's good for your heart.
What's your favorite kind of wine?
I do like, darker red wines.
I'm a Pinot Noir, Cabernet kind of guy. Even Merlot.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, honestly, I've had some really expensive wine, but I do like port.
Okay.
Or the 99 Crimes, stuff like that. Like they might not be the most expensive wines, but I just like it, not only for the taste but the aesthetic of it.
For sure.
Apothic, that kind of wine is really good. I've done some wine tastings. My grandparents are really into like Dublin wine, and I drink some of that and I enjoy it. It's like I like the stuff that is kind of unique in a sense, but also like, I don't know, it's just the vibe of it, the aesthetic of it, and the taste, really.
For sure. So you want to get involved with music, you want to start your own business, get involved with wine, still keeping posting. I'm assuming it's still going to involve the modeling aspect and fashion and everything like that. Dude, this has been like one of my favorite interviews so far.
No, this is my favorite interview, man.
You're very, very insightful, man. I'm gonna give you your flowers right here.
Appreciate you.
Keep doing what you're doing. It's so awesome to see someone who is so young but also is very self-aware of even becoming sober and having a game plan for the next few years, and you're rebranding yourself. So kudos to you, man. That's so awesome, bro. Appreciate you for coming on. Is there anybody that you want to shout out? Anything you got coming up? I know you can't talk too much about some of your collabs, but anything that you got dropping soon that you want to shout out or anything like that?
Shout out Kayla. Shout out Nikki over there who's just been silent, just in his own world. Shout out to everybody that's been putting me on this new fashion stuff. I've been making a lot of new friends this way. I will say I do have some collaborations coming up. I mean, obviously y'all catch me at Breakaway and stuff, but some clothing brands.
Varnish.
Varnish. Shout out Varnish. Shout out
too.
Varnish. Every other weekend I'm there. But I do have some clothing brands, coming from like Japan, like Japan stylists and designers and New York designers. So.
And this is something that when these collabs do drop, these projects come out, that people can see it on your social media.
Yeah,
is there a link they can
catch it
go
all
to?
on my social medias, and they'll have like direct links to their page where you can buy some of the products and just learn a little bit more from what I do. I'm be posting a lot of behind the scenes too, so just catch it everywhere. Shout out Podheads too.
Hey, yeah, shout out Podheads, man.
Hey, y'all gotta get on this. If you're not watching this, I don't know what you're doing.
For real though. Shit, I just lost my question. Cannot remember what it was. But anyways, man, I'm just giving you your flowers again, bro. Appreciate you for coming on.
Yeah,
I'm truly honest when I say I'm looking forward to your future and to see where you go. Thank you again, man. I look forward to seeing where you go in life.
I'm gonna definitely send you some people, that you can watch out for, maybe interview.
Bet. Well, y'all, this has been episode 20 of Podheads. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all have a good one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all can go follow Gabriel. I'll have all the links to his social media in the description. But yeah, we'll see y'all next time. Have a good one. Stay blessed. Peace.
Hey.